sort of a anti-artist type of movement here. You know, that's not what this is about. So I'd like to make my motion here, and that is to move to approve ordinance number 2016-13 with the following exceptions. Under home occupations, chapter 23 zoning, everything down to number 5 being left as it was in its original form, no strike-throughs, no underlines. Number 5 can remain as...
We have persons, that was my only request.
Okay.
Adding the S.
Persons, add persons, S to persons.
So are you including 5?
No, 5 can remain as it is.
The changes can remain?
I guess. I don't know why we changed it, but everybody's hung up on the word typewriter and trying to do something with that. So 5 can remain as it is. And I'd like to see number 11 and 12 stricken unless somebody can come up with an amendment to my motion to clean that up or come up with a better way of enforcing it.
Do I have a second?
Clarity. So number 1 you left in.
No, everything, what I'm proposing, Commissioner Amoroso, is that the original ordinance from A and B down to B4 be left as it was originally intended. No strike-throughs, no underlines, except for adding the letter S to the word person under item B1.
I think there's an if, there was a grammatical one that was struck in A, that's probably harmless.
And removing 11 and 12.
They're removing 11 and 12.
I'll second it.
Okay. Public comment cards?
You have
Oh, Julie? Michael Chase Fox, followed by Mark Rickards.
Good night. Michael Chase Fox, 1609 North D Street. I've been interested in this matter since it all began. But in addition, there's about 400 people that are involved with this too, who've spent thousands of hours on working on this. And when this came before Historic Resources Preservation Board and P&Z in the form of a workshop, I'm not sure they'd ever seen anything like it, where it came, worked on, where people consulted other cities and the code enforcement and zoning departments of other cities. The win is right there. I try to find the positives, okay? There is a win in that, just that it was able to be done, and I think it goes even beyond requiring even stronger teeth, because it's saying, no, you can't run a mechanic shop. It's specific. As far as a transition into enforcement, this is going to bring in right away tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars in revenue right away, just in licenses. And having said those things, I mean, that's something that we need right now. And when you were talking about the bigger cities doing it, they got their start somewhere. It had to start somewhere. And if you're addressing economies of scale, there are smaller cities who've successfully done this. And I would like to appraise art out of my home, and I can't currently do it. And I want to comply. You know, most of everybody who's involved with this wants to stay within the guidelines, and also bring our cities imprimatur even higher. When we talk about being an art city, let's put our next foot forward on saying, yes, that is what we're about. But we're not talking about making someone's life, quality of life, your neighbor's quality of life, less. It's specifically in the ordinance that's been submitted. There's different tiers, and they're addressed, and there's more enforcement than I think that even we currently have, ironically. Thank you.
Thank you. Mark?
Madam Mayor, members of the commission, Mark Rickards, 2508 Lake Osborne Drive. I gave a card in case the commission had issues specifically with the home occupation item. I'm here on behalf of the client. It's more of a housekeeping issue with a code provision that was in the code in the past, was taken out really by error, is getting put back in. So my card was really there to say home occupations, you might want to think of as the bathwater, or the rest of the code amendments is more of the baby. It sounds like the commission may have found some consensus, but that's really why I reserved a card to speak.
Okay, thank you. Peggy Fisher, followed by Erica. Skolte.
Peggy Fisher, 508 North A Street. I have no problem with people having home occupations, but I do have problems, many of which have been expressed, with what is being proposed here. I don't know that code works at 9 o'clock at night. I know that I have made code complaints that have gone nowhere because I've been told if the code officer doesn't see it, hear it with his own or her own eyes, it doesn't matter. If they can't go in if they don't let them in the house, it doesn't matter. Whatever they do in the house or have done in the house, it doesn't matter. There are lots of things with wide open obligations. I don't know how many companies deliver at 9 o'clock at night, but I have enough with the mechanical activities going on at 9 o'clock at night next to me that I don't need deliveries to. One thing that Mr. Waters said that was concerning to me was when they were asked about licenses and having to identify what type of business. He said for the most part. That's concerning to me. I think anyone applying for a license for a home occupation should have to absolutely identify what business. Thank you.
Thank you. Erica Skolte, followed by John Zerdy.
Thank you for this opportunity. I wanted to thank let me step back. Erica Skolte, 1322 North K Street, and I'm with Lakeport ACE, that is the Artisan Cottage Entrepreneurs. We've been working very, very hard for more than a year to bring forth workable regulations that we could give to the staff, and we appreciate their time. Mr. Bornstein, Mr. DeCoste, Mr. Waters, thank you so much for making a good start here for us. These regulations are for people like me whose businesses came to a screeching halt when I came to the home occupation code. I was not, at that point, allowed to keep any stock. If I wanted to make some t-shirts, I couldn't have a t-shirt press in my home. I couldn't get my husband to help me out if I wanted to press a few t-shirts, if one of my art designs actually got lucky. So this is real world for people like me with our vision eventually to have something like the home tours or the garden tours that we all have here and we all love, and to have the artists be part of that occasionally. So we would like to have the ability to occasionally sell something out of our home during special events like that, which we see as being commensurate with the branding of the city. It would also make it legal for an artist like me, especially a beginner, who doesn't have a huge body of work but would like to start, to be able to sell a painting or something out of my home by appointment once in a while and not have it be a code violation. So thank you again to the city staff for working really hard on this. ACE sees this as a beginning step, and we hope that the commissioners will support the proposal.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Zerdy?
Good evening, see you all again. I think that some of this is instances where we have people that come by, and I live next to apartments, probably there's 8 units over there, there's not one parking space on site, it's all on the streets, which is pretty common in a lot of areas like we were saying. And I think what would be bothersome to myself would be if you had a lot of any employees, or you have customers or deliveries and timings for this. So I don't know how you try to find a happy medium for this, because you do want some people to be able to at least find some way to have some additional income of some sort. But I think it's still a challenge in a blanket one would be very challenging. So I would welcome a workshop or some kind of informative, rather than just a group who spent a lot of hard work. I think I read some of this over again, putting this together, just saying, okay, here's what we want to do. Well, it's just the same as not putting it up to everybody else. I think in terms of coming up with some kind of adjustments, because we have yard sales, you can have some things that you can occasionally sell things on your own and do this, as long as it's not a constant thing that just is unenforceable. Things can just get out of hand. I mean, we all can use our imagination of where that can all go to. So I think probably it's the parking issue a whole lot and just the noise of people coming over. And I like a nice quiet area of my area. I enjoy that quiet, and that's what I bought my house for and lived in a residential area and it's a historic district and so on. Yet it can't escalate, and I don't know how you create an ability to enforce an escalation situation is what I think keeping the wording the way it was in a lot of areas and dealing with this, because it could be a lot of problems that could maybe give some opportunities, but it could just make things just so crazy. So I think, you know, we have a lot of density in our city already with this, like you were saying, there's some small lots, but I would welcome a discussion on this myself to see really if there's any media that we can all arrive at.
Thank you. I think that, Vice Mayor, I was gonna say, I think that the workshop just is a good idea for us to bring back some of the more interesting things that came from that. And again, the ACE group, I know that why Commissioner Boyd brought up the arts. It's because of that group's initiative in doing so in their presentation before Planning and Zoning and Historic Resources Preservation, I believe both of them, or one?
They didn't give a presentation.
They gave they gave a presentation.
They submitted a proposal which was not an actual formal zoning application.
Okay.
Because we were already looking at home occupations in general. We discussed their proposal that they had put together.
But you met with them?
Yes.
Okay.
And then we presented it both to Planning and Preservation with a joint workshop. Both boards nixed 95% of what was proposed. They didn't think that the city was really ready for it, but did embrace the changes that you see here that sort of brings the home occupation program that we have into the 21st century.
Okay. Vice Mayor?
Yeah, and then that segues perfectly into the question I have of you, William. I recently attended a neighborhood association meeting where the folks from the arts community gave a presentation. And having benefit of seeing the backup material for tonight's meeting and the rewording of this ordinance, the strike-throughs and the underlines or whatever, and I'm listening to the presentation and develop a sense that what they're presenting and what we're talking about tonight are two different things. And I said to myself, what am I missing here? Because there seemed to be a lot of enthusiasm in terms of their presentation about what the things they wanted to do, signage and you know, employees and all these other things. And that, from what I understand, is not what this speaks to.
No, it doesn't.
So I'm a little confused as to, you know, somebody mentioned different tiers, you know, of level of intensity or of home occupation or whatever. I just want to make sure that, you know, this is what it really is. We're just changing number 5 to say what you cannot put in your home occupation. But I am opposed at this point until we have a community-wide discussion about, you know, having home occupancy where folks can invite customers to come to their home and help create parking problems or put signs in front of their homes. You know, we often talk about, you know, why do we have zoning to begin with? You know, we talk about sober homes, we get upset about sober homes because we can't do anything about those. So that's already a knock on some of our neighborhoods. We talk about vacation rentals, which we struggle with in some cases, and we have difficulty monitoring that. You know, I don't think our community is willing to go another type of business and just kind of throw the doors open and say, look, we can have people coming and going at all times of the day and night, you know, inviting people to come into their home in a 25-foot lot, and then have somebody at the city level pick the winners and losers because they live on a 25-foot lot and you can't do that business there, but you can do it in College Park because they've got a bigger lot. So I don't want to get into that type of a conversation. I hope that we don't get into that conversation going forward.
Everything you brought up was items that were discussed by the members of the Planning and Zoning Board and the Historic Resource Preservation Board and why they did not feel comfortable moving forward on anything but these changes. because they did discuss that the definition of a home office space and the purpose did limit it just to a home office. Now, we do have people that stretch the limitations, and in reference to Ms. Fisher's, we do have a comment, we do have people that apply for a home office under their name, and it's a home office, but we don't have a category to put them in because they're doing books, they're not an accountant, that kind of thing. When they're doing, we always raise questions to the person, if it's like a landscape company, are you just doing your management of your books in your home? So this change was to sort of embrace if you wanted to have an art studio in your house or other types of activities that were limited to within the building, but no customer interactivity, no employees, but it wasn't really a home office. It was a commercial activity that might generate income from a person. And that's why we changed that purpose under A, but if we don't want to go beyond a home office as a home occupation, that right now, that's fine.
All right, we've reached beyond 30 minutes, and we talked, it was brought up last meeting that when we go beyond on certain items, that it should be workshopped outside of public participation.
We have a motion and a
We've got a motion on the floor in a second. You want to do a quick question or comment?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I certainly support the concept of bringing it to a workshop. My only request would be that we all, among ourselves here, make a real effort to kind of tamp it down a little bit when we say things that, it's very easy to say inflammatory things that, well, you know, you can imagine what it's going to be. I mean, the sky is going to fall and all sorts of things. My grandmother in Holland used to have a very good expression for that, that if the sky falls, then we'll all have blue dresses and have a blaue Rocke, and we'll deal with it. Let's try to bring it back to a focus. I think let's be open in our listening, recognize that there can be a balance between letting people do some reasonable things, and you can define that, what that is. If you're on a 25-foot lot and you want to have 14 people parked in front of your house, well, no, that's probably not a good idea. We can come up with, that's the process of government, is writing sensible regulations that do bring balance in, that provide protection from the buzzsaws going at midnight or 15 people parking. But it doesn't have to be draconian either way. It doesn't mean that if somebody sells a painting once a month, or if your bookkeeper comes and works at your house, it's not going to bother anybody. Let's find a way to figure out what are the things that do bother people, what are the things that don't, write your regulations to protect everybody.
All right, we've got a motion on the floor in a second. Public comment cards have been read. Have there any more comment cards come in? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 3-1. Normally I would take a break at this moment, but I know we've got a lot on the agenda and you guys have been sitting around.